Welcome to the Critical Thinking Strategy for Unit 5. The strategy for this unit is evaluating the strength and relevance of evidence. When speakers are trying to make a point, they will usually support the idea with evidence or information that proves their point. For example, take the idea, teenagers take a lot of risks, such as driving too fast. The speaker can support the point with evidence like, teens are more likely than older drivers to drive fast. But not all evidence is equally good. To evaluate the evidence, consider its strength and relevance. You should ask two questions. How strong is the evidence? And how relevant is it? Evidence can affect our understanding of a topic. If you can evaluate the strength and relevance of evidence, you will have a much better understanding of the topic. What does evaluate mean? Notice that the word evaluate is similar to the word value. When you evaluate something, you judge its value. Is it good? Is it bad? Why do I think so? What does strength mean? Strength is the extent to which an argument is convincing, which makes people believe something is true. Finally, what does relevance mean? Relevance is the quality of being closely connected to something. How do you evaluate the strength of evidence? When you evaluate strength, look for facts that you can check, such as the names of sources, dates, and specific numbers. Weak evidence has vague sources, is based on a person's opinions, and is general rather than specific. Think about the evidence. Are there specific sources? Do you trust them? Does the speaker use specific facts and other information you can check? Here is an example. Let's say a speaker gives some evidence to support the claim that teenagers drive too fast. The evidence is, according to the Centers for Disease Control, among male drivers aged 15 to 20 who were involved in fatal crashes in 2015, 32% were driving too fast. First, ask, what is the source for this evidence? In this case, the speaker tells you it is the Centers for Disease Control. You know the Centers for Disease Control is a government agency that does research. You trust it. Then ask, what are the facts presented? In this case, the speaker tells you the ages of the drivers, the year, and the percentage of people that were driving too fast. If necessary, you could go online to investigate these details and make sure they are true. How do you evaluate the relevance of evidence? To evaluate the relevance, you need to ask, is this closely connected to the idea the speaker is talking about? Even if the evidence is specific and clear, it still needs to be very connected to the topic. Look at this example. 21% of accidents involving teenage drivers involved speeding. This is more relevant because the facts are connected to the idea of driving too fast. But consider this example. Teenagers listen to loud music when they drive. This information is less relevant because even though it is related to driving, it is not related to driving too fast. It would also be very hard to prove this point unless there is statistical data that proves teenagers listen to music more loudly than older people. These two things tell me that this is most likely just someone's opinion and not strong evidence. Imagine the speaker says, half the accidents caused by teen drivers occurred between 3 p.m. and midnight. You should ask yourself, is this evidence closely connected to the idea the speaker is talking about? In this case, the facts are interesting and specific, but they aren't very closely related to the idea of driving too fast. If you look closely, you can see that the focus of the argument has shifted, and you're no longer talking about the same subject. Staying focused on a claim and the evidence that supports it is important. Evidence that is not connected to the claim is weak. Let's say a speaker makes this point. Mountain biking is a good sport to try, and it's not that risky. Now it's your turn to see if you can find the stronger evidence. Many people say mountain biking is actually pretty safe. According to an article in the British Journal of Sports Medicine, researchers led by Johannes Becker found that 65% of injuries were not bad enough that the cyclist had to stop riding. Which one of these two examples of evidence has greater strength? Why is the second one stronger? Because it gives you a source and specific facts. The evidence of many people say is a logical fallacy, a mistake in thinking. We don't know who those many people are, and by saying that, the person is making the claim by trying to put pressure on you to believe. Now let's look at the relevance of some evidence for the same claim. And according to Becker, most injuries are caused by rider mistakes, which riders can avoid by following certain tips. Mountain bikes have fatter tires than regular bikes. The first statement is relevant. It relates to the original claim about mountain biking not being that risky. If you know a lot about mountain biking, you might find the tire size information convincing, but if you don't know much about how tire size impacts safety, then the more relevant evidence is going to be the researched one. Let's recap today's lesson. We've been talking about the critical thinking strategy of evaluating the strength and relevance of evidence. Remember to ask questions such as, what is the source? Do I trust it? Are the facts specific? And how closely connected is this to the idea presented? Thanks for listening.